one who's responsible for bringing us the show to us. Yes, guys, Mr. Sandeep Modi, the director of the show, please come on stage. Creator and director, the night manager. Over to you, Sudesh.
Thank you so much, Hema. We're missing the screenplay writer Sridhar Raghavan here, but I'm glad Sandeep is here as the creator. It's a pleasure to meet you, sir. I think I first met Mr. Anil Kapoor on the sets of Nayak in Chennai, where I saw him sit for 6 hours, even though it was not his close-up or anything. He was just, as Shankar was adjusting some 100 TV screens, TV monitors in front of him, and he just sat there for 6 hours out of sheer commitment. It's like unprecedented, considering that this is his 5th decade in cinema. It's amazing, sir. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah. So there's a great quote by Godard saying, it's not about where you take things from, but where you take them to. Given the fact that this is an adaptation and you're playing the Ravan of this adaptation, Shelley Rungta, how did you approach, and considering this role was played by Mr. Hugh Laurie, who I'm sure you're also a fan of, how did you approach? Did you say that I'm not even going to watch him, or did you say I'm going to watch him and see how I'm going to do it? Because we don't see him do typically evil things in the show, because we see a charming, dashing Anil Kapoor there, and we're supposed to still believe he's a villain, right? So how did you approach this show?
Good evening, friends. Thank you for such a great introduction, and thank you for remembering Nayak, one of my favorite films, Shankar, director whom I admire. Thank you, Ficci. Thank you, all of you all. Sandeep, for making this happen. Shobita, Aditya, all of you all. And thank you, Disney, plus Star, and the entire team, the producers and all. And I'm really privileged and honored to be here. It's a great feeling. And coming to your question, how did I approach? I would be lying to you if I say that I didn't see the show, or was not inspired by, or I was not a fan of Hugh Laurie. Obviously, I had seen him in House, and then I saw The Night Manager, and I was completely taken aback by his performance. And of course, we both are two different looking people. Our presence, our personalities are different. I don't know. He's done a lot of theatre. He's been working since many, many years. Done television. He's, if you see his old television shows, he's a great comic actor. He's brilliant, absolutely. And great voice, and I said, na mera paas wo voice hai, na wo personality hai, na wo aankhein hain, and he just looks the part of Rupa. So I said, will I be able to pull it off? And, the way I am, I go with instinct, with gut. And instinctively I felt it's a no-brainer. It's a great role. The entire team is fantastic, and I just said yes. And then I started thinking about it. I heard the script, what Sandeep and his writers had created. We heard it in one go. I just loved it. The Hindi adaptation. And then I started. It just the roles and characters don't happen overnight. It's like, you keep on thinking about it, and and just till you face the camera. Even when you face the camera in the first few days, sometimes you go right, sometimes. So it takes a little time, and you keep on understanding. कभी-कभी तो release के बाद पता चलता है कि character क्या है. So but you just go with the flow, and that's what I did, and I'm so happy that people have liked the show, that and love the character of Shailendra Rungta. Singh bol raha hu main, Shailendra Rungta.
He's Shailendra Singh Rungta, so you're not entirely wrong. But I was more curious about the villain part of it. Like, how did you say? Because we don't see him doing anything evil.
I don't look at anything about villain or hero, or from the time I started my career. If you see the films I've done, the kind of people I've worked with, directors I've worked with, and if you I did a Telugu film, I did a Kannada film, then I did MS Satyush kahan se guzar gaya. I'm sure people have, I don't know if I want to educate them, but that's one of my first films I did with Satyu Saab, and where I almost played a very kind of a character who's trying to find himself and ultimately becomes the way the father is, a complete capitalist. So I've done weird stuff from the beginning of my career. So I don't go what is, villain, hero. I like my role. I like the people. I feel it's going to be a great journey. And I just say yes to it. And so that's what it is. People who are seeing me as a hero, so jo role mil rahe the, beggars can't be choosers. When I started my career, first decade, obviously they were choosing me. Then I started choosing some films. I came to a situation where I could choose films. And then, for me, it's always the director, the filmmaker, the writer, the writing, what's on paper, and then I take my decision, yeah. Hero ho, villain ho, character ho, supporting role ho, kuch bhi ho. I just do it, yeah.
This, the Ravan of the show, did that have any bearing on how you approach it? Because he's called as the Ravan, right, throughout. Like, did you take any inspiration from, like, Ravan?
Yeah, Maut ka Saudagar, Ravan, yeah, no. Obviously, when I've read, when I was really researching for the role and I was, how to go about it. So I was reading all the interviews, all the articles of everybody, trying to find something on the YouTube, something, if they're Indian, who are these, if I can find someone who is an arms dealer in India. But I couldn't find anything. I just couldn't find anything. So the book is fantastic. The writing was so terrific. And then I used my own imagination. And of course, Hugh Laurie was there for inspiration. All these things, keeping all these in mind and slowly, steadily. I was just, what happens is, what is the role, the character, and something about your personality also is there. It's always there, what you are as, and then the character. So it's a combination of both. And what you see is me as a person also and me as a character also. There are a lot of things which are me in that film, like what I am, and certain things, how I'm a family man. There's certain things, how I react to my, my friendships, my passion for for work. So and my passion. So you just use all these memories, certain things in what you have and use it in the character and use when you perform. It's a long process, is too long. I have to sit with you for hours to tell you how
I love the humanity you gave the character as a concerned father, as a smart, strategic businessman, all of that different layers. They came out really beautifully. I have a lot more questions for you, but I'm going to go to Aditya Roy Kapur here because what is interesting for me, Aditya, is that you approached this in your own way. I saw a few changes. I don't know how many of them came from the script and how many of them you came up with. For example, the fact that in India, to be a hero, do you have to be really righteous, that you don't smoke or you don't have affairs? Because these are some of the changes from the original. Like in the original, he has a relationship with the girl. Here, she's a 14-year-old girl in the Rohingya crisis, so there's no way you are going to like have a relationship with her. And also here, you don't smoke. I don't know if it's a lie or like for that scene or like, but your character says you don't smoke, but in the original, they bond over a cigarette in the first place. So I want to know, how did you approach it? Are these, because these seem to be conscious departures from the original. So you seem to have your own take on this.
Hi guys. Yeah, I don't think I can take any credit for those changes. I think that credit has to go to the writers, to Sandeep. But I think those decisions were taken at a script level. I think the decision to change episode 1 and have it be a young girl was the writers and Sandeep's call. And I think it was a great one in hindsight. I think everyone seems to really feel like the first episode really anchors you emotionally sufficiently to then make you be on the side of the protagonist, and then you're with him, after you felt that. So yeah, I think as an actor you work with what you're given, and these decisions weren't mine. I think it helped that I wasn't smoking since it's been 8 years that I've quit, and it's a pain to have to like smoke on set and then not. So thank you, Sandeep, for not putting me through that. Though yeah, every now and then a sly cigarette is in the name of work is welcome, but no. I think for me, I was inspired by the original performances. I think all the performances in the show were great. And as an actor, you want to be inspired by that, but you don't want to have to go. I didn't want to re-look at it. I didn't want to go back to it again and again. I felt like Sandeep and the writers had done enough to make it their own, to adapt it, and I think that's one of the things that people are noticing a lot about the show. It feels like it's not a copy-paste job, that's an understatement. I think they've really managed to make it feel completely grounded over here and made it feel fully realized to the Indian subcontinent. And for me, I had enough stuff on the page to draw from, and by virtue of just staying true to what he and the writers gave me, it ended up being different. But I didn't approach it with that as the thing in the forefront of my mind.
But still, Tom Hiddleston, big shoes. So how were you intimidated?
Big shoes, absolutely big shoes, but not something that, I mean, as actors, we have enough stuff to lose sleep over. You're jumping on set in front of 200 people every day, trying to, do your stuff. It's tough as it is. So the idea, I think, as much as you can, is to declutter and to try and remove as much as the unnecessary anxieties that are not going to serve you in any way. I was completely cognizant of the fact that this was a very, the titular role and so on and so forth, and there was a lot to do. But yeah, I had enough stuff to make me anxious. I didn't have to think about Tom,
Great. I want to talk to Shobita, but I'll first get to Sandeep because it has something to do with this. In terms of adaptation, these changes that you made, and Sridhar is not here, so maybe you can enlighten us. What was the most important thing that you thought you have to deviate from the original to adapt it to the Indian audiences? When we are making shows in India, is there a need to say, this is black, this is white, this guy is good, this guy is bad? Because conventionally, we don't see Mr. Kapoor do anything evil in the show, right? Like he's a charming man, he's just being charming. So. And we are still supposed to believe he's dangerous and diabolical and he's villainous and all that. But mostly we've seen in Indian movies or in Indian shows, there's a clear hero, villain, black, white, which is not all that clear in your show. So what was the thinking behind the adaptation part of it for India?
Hi everyone. Firstly, I know we've been talking of the writers a lot, so that's Sridhar, Akshat, Shantanu. Also, I have a co-director, Priyanka, who are not here. So, of course, we are talking on behalf of everyone. I think, first of all, this is a very exciting panel for all of us to be here because we are talking to peers, people who have probably been in similar shoes, who probably understand the troubles of adaptation. There are many pitfalls, many a slip between the lip and the cup here. I think there were two viewpoints which we approached this from. One was when you doing an adaptation. This is the second time I'm doing an adaptation. The first time was season 1 of Arya, which I was the co-creator on. And in both the cases, the question we were asking ourselves is, why are we adapting it? And how do we make this story feel like it's coming from our heart and our land? This was the key question. ये कहानी क्यों हमारी है? Why not just dub it in Hindi and watch it? They're great actors in any case, right? Why would you just do that? Why would you want to see Anil Kapoor, Shobita, Adi do it? It has to come from our own point of view to the world. And somewhere the thing which we went by is like, what are the things which we think we can change to make it more Indian, more us? Better or worse is for everyone to judge. But for example, the opening episode, the question we always asked ourselves is, what makes a regular guy or a regular girl, anyone who, like one of us, having a everyday job, turn around a life and become a spy, right? And the question is, it has to be the John Le Carre or even the original writers of the British show. They all went by the idea that it is love. But we thought, what is deeper than love? And we thought guilt. एक 14 साल की बच्ची जब मर जाती है, the guilt of that will weigh heavier on your soul than anything else. So we took a lot of calls based on a very unpopular line, which I'll say, कि हम like when they asked me whether I want to work on this adaptation, I said there are more things I want to change than the things I want to retain. So are you sure you want to retain me then? And yet at the same time, across the world or anywhere where I've traveled, or including this set, there were many fans of the show, many people who love the show, despite the same thing which I see as a flaw, someone else sees it as a, "Ye to bahut acha tha." So the approach to that has been I would say, the joy which me and Sridhar had to tackle. Some places we've absolutely followed our gut. Some places we've said, "I think this is an audience winner. Let's just allow it to float and see how it feels." But even after the writing, through the whole process of our workshops with the actors, and now I know workshop is an often abused term, but genuinely in this one, the amount of time Adi, Shobita, Anil sir, and everyone, Tilotama, everyone spent on the character. Like Anil sir, he doesn't talk about it. He has a lal diary. Okay? When you go to his house for a discussion, randomly he's called you at like 7:30 saying, "Acha, Sandeep, you up?" It's a message aayega aapko. "Sandeep, you up?" And you said, "Yes, sir." Of course, you're not up. Your phone has just buzzed. And he said, come see me. Let's just, I have something to chat about. Can you come over? And you don't know what is going to come. And you reach his house, like Lal diary aati hai. And it's written all these questions of character. Who's this character? Where does he come from? Why is he saying this line? Why this? शायद homework करके आना पड़ेगा to answer it. So everyone's really put in a lot of their heart and made it their own. Like Rungta, the last name, it came through a discussion with sir. We had named it something else, and then AK said, the name has to feel more specific, more interesting. The idea of making it shipping, all of that came through various discussions with Adi. You talking of the way we found the tone of character. We tried so many different things with it, and all of it came from Adi. None of it came from Tom or how the thing. It came from the material. How was he looking at it? And somewhere we found a stride and said, okay, let's just go with it. And as sir says, sometimes you feel character समझ में आता है show खत्म होने के बाद, release होने के बाद. But sometimes you feel it in your heart in an instant. You feel like ये है, इसको पकड़ के रखो, इसको मत छोड़ो. So most of our conversations which me and Aditya always used to have between each schedule will be, Aditya, don't change anything. Don't change anything. I remember so many calls I would just say, Adi, change nothing. And since Shobita is here, our process with Shobita is beautiful. I'm happy he's given the mic to me first, because once she takes the mic, you're going to be mesmerized with her answers. I think me and AK keep saying, "Arey yaar, Shobita is on the panel. We should speak first." But the way she really explores the character so well. So one of our journeys has been just asking questions to each other. I said answers we'll find on screen. No, let's not answer it in words. So it's been a process, yeah. When you say, how did me and Sridhar adapt it? Well, we did, but I think all of us did. Eventually, it became a beast of its own, which we were no longer trying to control it. Over to Shobita.
Yeah, Shobita, I'm really glad you're here, because without you, this is a manual. It's just men talking. And also, I'm really glad that...
Nobody would have taken up pictures also. Can I share something? Yes. Very interesting, because there are a lot of people from the industry and media aware. So I was in London very quickly, and we were promoting Slumdog Millionaire. So I was sitting with the team of Pathe. And he says, kya hai, even if the President Obama, if he comes alone, there won't be so many photo ops. He might be on the second or third page, but if he comes with his wife, there'll be, it'll be a front page news. So, हमने बोला यार फोटो तो आनी चाहिए सब जगह, शोभिता का होना बहुत ज़रूरी है. And she speaks so well, even Michelle speaks so well. So over to you, our Michelle.
Shobita, I'm glad you exist, because what you've done to the landscape is that you play a lot of South Indian characters. Here, your name is Kaveri in this. So also you embrace your accent, and here you play a woman with mystery, right? There's so little we get into her real self, because she says, I don't want to see anyone, I don't want anyone to see me cry. So how did you approach this? How do you create mystery about this character who the audience is not supposed to know too much about, but slowly discover who she is? Because you get very little footage, and in that you need to capture it. So how do you approach this as an actor and your whole persona, real life persona, becoming the character?
Good afternoon, everyone. This is such an august gathering, so many intelligent people, and with my team saying all these nice things about me, I'm absolutely terrified about sounding like an idiot. Uh, I mean, Kaveri is a river in the south, but I don't think that has any connection to me playing someone from south in this. It's not tied up. I think the connection with the name has more to do with water and what it represents. You know, water can be still, but it can be very deep, and so often the currents can change from day to night. From like her life is very turbulent, much like water, but there's also it's serene. So we thought there was an interesting parallel, and I really liked the name. I thought it represents her quite beautifully. As for I don't look at characters in terms of how much footage they have. I don't think it's the most significant thing at all. Um, um, in the larger arc of the character, there are a lot of answers. Answers should not be given, they should be arrived at, is what I feel. And I feel like with her character, we know and we see as much as we need to. And sometimes you want to lean a little bit closer to hear her better, to know what lies simmering beneath the surface. And I think that's really nice writing. So I didn't feel the need for more. It was enough. And I don't think mystery is created. I think when you say as much as you have to, and I guess it's not a blabbering character, so it was easy to retain that. And much credit to the way it was written, the way it was shot, and the way the primary characters interact with her. So how you are with me is very different from how you are with your partner, your parent, your friend. But the minute like one sees you in all these perspectives, they get a better understanding of who you are, right? But if Kaveri is seen only from the perspective of her lover, her partner, and from this special creature, you don't really know her from any other perspective. So maybe holding back is what gives her that mystery.
So in these workshops, I'm very curious to see how did you crack the characters in the course of this workshop in terms of interpersonal relationships between the characters. Like, for example, between you and Aditya, how did you say, what is the level of bromance that you would have? Like, was that part of the workshop? Was it part of the script? How did you arrive at like a chemistry? Because it's about, you're the antagonist, he's the protagonist, and you both needed to have a chemistry because the relationship is again interestingly phrased as Ravan and Vibhishan. So it's almost like he could have been your brother, right? So how do actors interpret that sort of chemistry from the script and like say, this is how we're going to do it? How much intimacy is the right chemistry?
I think horses for courses. I mean, I don't think there's any one right way. I think the way that Sandeep approached, I think Anil sir's and my equation on screen is I don't think we met at all. Yeah. I think he preferred it for us to just get there on set. And of course, I think Anil sir and me were I was fortunate enough to work with Anil sir on Malang. So we had worked before. And I think that's why Sandeep felt confident enough that we had that professional understanding was already there, and that it might have been better for the characters to just kind of meet in the moment, right, Sandeep?
I think the way we approached it is like it's a boxing match. There are two boxers, and both need to prepare individually. So AK sir and we would prepare his whole world of friends, family. So AK sir would have his workshop with Shobita, with Dada, Saswata, while his workshop was the only little thing which we did. Of course, we had moments with the girl, with
Just a little bit with Safina.
with Safina, and very little with Nasir, with Tilotama.
With Tilotama, yeah.
So the idea was it was preparation of two different worlds, and then see them both explode when they both meet. You know, both don't know what the other's prepping for. You know, so It's theoretically beautiful. I hope it works on screen and it looks good.
I think one thing that was also interesting was that we ended up workshopping a couple of sticky scenes, stuff that we were not so sure of. That I think we really benefited from the workshop process by going in there and exploring those scenes. And it helps so much when you're not on the clock and the whole world doesn't depend on that working on that day. And that's one learning that I had, that I mean, it's all very well to workshop, but it's important to know how to workshop. And I think that's something that I learned from Sandeep on this, because we were able to explore scenes uninhibited and finally, at least if not find it, get closer to the answer after those experiences.
So, your character has no reason to hate him, right? But his character has enough history, like, because he knows what you did. But you have no reason, at least in the first 4 episodes, to hate his character. Your character has no reason. So you're obviously there's a certain warmth with which you're approaching the role. You're not treating him like an outsider in the first place. You're in fact doing the opposite. You are like including him more and more into the family. So how does it work? Like, because you know that your character has done something extremely horrible to him because you've read the script, and yet on screen the audience shouldn't be aware of the history. You should let him into your life. You should be welcoming. How did you plan that out? Because he's not going to give you back your positivity, because his character is not going to allow him to give that positivity back.
He's given 2 mics to Shobita. Sandeep has always been very partial. When he hugs her for quite a few minutes. With me, he just shakes his hand. We're given 2 mics also, huh? You know, I think my mind was there. Obviously, you know, this character, Sharadar Ungta, is a gambler. He goes with instinct, and he trusts people, but still trusts them easily. And the way I imagine, वो किसी को मिलता है, किसी को देखता है और बोलता है यार इसमें कुछ बात है. There is something about it, and that's what I am in real life also, to a certain extent, which I could relate to. That if I've gone wrong also. I've been betrayed. You know, everybody's betrayed. You know, most of the time you're right in your instincts of people, but sometimes you go wrong. So I feel, and as you say that I've read the script, but overall when you go on the set, you don't remember the entire script. You are going, stay in the moment. And the scene given, and you know, you can't remember 7 hours of the entire script, you know. It's there at the back of the mind, but you forget about it and you're in the moment. So that's the reason I'm warm, because I feel इसमें बात है कुछ जो है, you know, ultimately. So that's the reason that I'm nice to him, and I was not feeling any kind of it's a gambler's instinct. ये काम का आदमी है. और वो बाद में काम का नहीं निकलता, वो बाद में पता चलेगा. But till that time I know that this is younger, and he trusts him, he trusts his girlfriend also. But धीरे धीरे पता चलता है कि सब गड़बड़ कर रहे हैं, you know. And this is what happens. Yeah. Why did you do this to me? Yeah? Why
money,
did you?
money, it's all about money.
Huh? Just because I don't have 6 packs, huh?
So that you have.
Huh? Huh?
And it's not
Don't
just
do this. Huh? Next season, I'm going to have 6 packs. So I want you back.
And it's not a single point of betrayal. I think there are 2 betrayers here. Here's betrayer number 2 we haven't seen much of yet.
See, so far there's been nothing of the sort if you look at it. So I think no spoilers.
But you are
Still,
infiltrating.
there are scenes in the first part also where little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit. ऐसा मत करो यार.
Okay, just to like move away from spoiler territory, I want to go back to what I
Oh,
was.
there's no spoilers at all.
The betrayal
Matter-
part
matter-
could be perceived by some
But
people.
yes, of course, yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
Betrayed. You saw they were
Yeah,
in the, near
he
the
is
pool,
trying
near
to
the pool
infiltrate
side.
the
They are
room.
there. आंखों में बातें हो रही हैं.
Yeah,
What is that?
absolutely.
आंखों में बातें.
Representation. That's what I wanted. That's the first. The
Sorry,
big-
यार.
No,
Little
that's
life में थोड़ा fun होना बहुत जरूरी है.
absolutely.
Can't take everything very seriously.
Yes, yes.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Friends, can't make it very. Sorry.
Shobita, you forgot to, you missed that part of the question, I think, when I asked you about representation mattering, like, because your identity. Do you think it's important to have your identity on screen? Like, is it relevant? Because in India, we have different cultures, right? We have so many different languages. The language changes every 100 kilometers in this country. And so when we are, so that's why I'm glad that your accent exists. And you've not made any attempt to change the way you speak or it's like I like the fact that it is South Indian, right? Like because I'm from Chennai, I feel represented when you're there. So I wanted to talk to you about that. Like in terms of representation, is this like a conscious part of like being part of your brand that you need to be this person authentic to your identity?
Have you heard of Tenali Raman?
Yeah.
So Tenali is a place, it exists. I'm from there. I grew up in Vizag. I speak Telugu at home. I think in Telugu. I moved to Mumbai after my high school and I speak Hindi now. It's been a good 13, 14 years in Mumbai. Another whatever. So my life, so I don't know where home is. And we are all products of the experiences we've had, but we are also products of the experiences we aspire to have. So I don't think any person represents one fixed thing. You are not just Chennai. You're also this guy sitting in power in a suit asking me a question. And it's very separate from the reality of North Madras. So Arey, don't clap and all, yeah. I just feel
I told you all.
Even I said it. I said
said
it
it.
first.
these guys.
That's why she's got two mics, you know?
So I just feel that identity is porous. There are no boundaries. It's not defined. Who I was a couple of years ago is very, very different from the person I am now. And I'm pretty positive. I would be fortunate if I am a different person to some extent in some time to come. And it means that I'm interacting with life with an open heart and I'm absorbing whatever's good and I'm changing with the times. And as for characters, as a child watching cinema, I watched Telugu cinema, I watched Tamil cinema, I watched Hindi cinema, and all I remember was performances that reached the heart, jokes that landed. I didn't even speak Hindi when I was a child. So I don't think representation necessarily it should not be taken out of context. I'm genuinely very, very interested in submitting to a larger story that touches the heart. There are films, silent films with no language. I don't know what they're representing, except the truth of human emotions, right? There's fantasy films. I love Harry Potter. What are they representing? I don't know. So I think films, characters should represent sentiments, should represent feelings, our past and the future we aspire to have. Identity should not be a fixed entity.
I now want to talk about.
Explain to me what you've spoken. Please, huh?
With subtitles.
Very layered it was. Sorry.
That's okay, sir. Like, this is your stage. You are the boss.
Not at all.
But I'm very curious because I know a lot of people, I'm sure even you would have been curious, with the decision to release 4 episodes at one point and then 4 episodes the other. Is this for dramatic reasons, business reasons? What was the thinking behind this? Like, what were you holding back for months?
I'm not the boss. I want to prove it. He's the boss.
I think one of the things which I always say is what is great about the world of OTTs is that you get an audience which can come to it when they want, but the trouble is also overfeeding. I feel there are some stories which are sagas, and this I feel is a saga. It's set across 5 years of a character's life who transforms and enters in the person's life, and it's a turmoil, and there's so much coming up, especially in part two. I thought you should feel the fact that you lived the life with him, and to do it over just a period of a night's binge might have done some injustice to it. So we wanted to split it. The timing of it, we left it to our masters, our friends at Disney Hotstar, and we'll soon tell you when does the second part come out. That's a promise.
So, in terms of adaptation, the Hindi dialogue writing, at what point does that come in? Because screenplay is Sridhar writes it, and then you have two other dialogue writers for this. So, are the actors, are the dialogues written for Indian actors? Because Sir has a persona, so do you write it for Anil Kapoor? Do you write it for Aditya Roy Kapur? Do you write the dialogues to suit the personas of these stars? Because they're not just actors, they're stars, and stars are known for certain traits and characteristics. People come to watch to enjoy those characteristics and traits, as opposed to actors who are going to be breaking the mold every time. So dialogue writing in adaptation, how much do you adapt to the star persona? Because India is crazy about stars, and it's no secret. Like, we know that unless there is a star, you can't sell a story.
I think, yes, it's a recipe, but it's a recipe for disaster. If you start writing dialogues for the actors who are going to play it, I think the thing is, when you take the same material and I ask Aditya to do the part or ask AK to do the part, the same lines will feel different. And what the joy of working and interpretation of different actors is a simple word or a line can be read in a dramatic way, you know, and it can change meaning, which as writers and filmmakers, we ourselves have not felt it while writing. And something which we felt, "Yaar, ye to bahut jabardast line hai," might feel very light with someone else. So I think the idea was to think of the character and try to write from where the character comes from and their point of view to life. And then each one of them brought the way they interpret, the layers that came through. Like, I know we spoke about, Shobita spoke so eloquently about representation. But the fact that despite her not saying anything more, you felt it is because of the interpretation which she brought to it, right? Some other actor would have brought a different representation to it for you. So for me, the individuality comes from the actors and how they read it, how they perform it eventually. Yeah.
Can I add to this? You see, I think we were casted not as stars in this film. I feel very, very strongly. I say we were casted as we suited the roles. We were casted as actors. Like when I did Wo Saat Din, or I did Mashal, or I did all the films which I did earlier, Karma, or the Mr. India, did the, you know, all the lines, even when I did Slumdog.
Yeah. Or AK versus AK.
AK versus AK. Yeah, because, you know, they all were written with some other actors in the mind, you know. So, matter of fact, I've seen to it that when I feel that something is written with me in mind, most of the time I don't do that film. Because it looks repeated, it looks fake, and at least obviously there'll always be, as I said, for every actor or anyone, there's always some personalities, you know, and the way he is will come in that character. Every actor, no matter if it is Robert De Niro or it is Al Pacino, the greatest actors. But there will be something about them, their personal things which will be there, which we don't know because we don't know them personally. But most of the times, I feel the scripts which have come to me in the last more than 4 decades, I've seen to it that they are something which I've never done. Lines which I've never spoken. That's what attracts me. If I find something which I feel मैं ये कर चुका हूँ, most of the time I pass that film. At least I try to do that. And sometimes it's been very detrimental to my career, to my star image. कि यार तू इतना बड़ा स्टार है, ये रोल कर रहा है. When I was doing Ishwar, I had lines of successful films. But I did Ishwar. When I did AK versus AK, I think all the actors called me and said, how could you do this role? Where most of the time I am talking about my failures, that I'm not a star, I am finished.
You're roasting yourself.
No, it's not. People don't understand that. There's very few niche people understand that he's roasting himself. But there is most of the audience will feel, ये क्या हो गया, पागल हो गया लगता. You know, we imagine him as the Mr. India, we imagine him as the Lakhan, we imagine him, you know, whatever he is. But that's the journey I have taken. And even I feel every actor in this, it might be Saswata Chatterjee, or it is Aditya, or it is Shobita, or Tilotma, or Ravi Behel. They all were casted because somewhere we felt that they suited the role. There's something about them, and you've never seen them doing something like that. I think that's the success of Night Manager. That's the reason I think somewhere people have connected with this show, and it's become, people have liked the first part, and hopefully they will like the second part even more. And so that's the thing. So I don't think so. Pata nahi ye kaun, there was so many actors were doing it earlier also. I don't want to get into that. And it came to us. Hamari kismat pe tha ye, and we did it. Am I right, sir? Absolutely.
Aditya, you want to add to that because you want to be a star, right? You don't want to be a star. You have star aspirations, right?
I mean, you just want to keep doing good work that more and more people see, and good films. Yeah, so I mean, the aspiration is to do as much good work that you can do, watched by as wide an audience, and if that brings stardom, then so be it. Yeah.
But you look at yourself as an actor first, not a star.
I mean, I approach everything from the point of view where I try and service the character as truthfully as I can, and that I don't look at it as how I should be doing it, or I don't look at it the other way around in terms of, oh, this is what people will expect of me. Let me give them what they have seen and liked and appreciated. Let me give them a little more of that. That is a recipe for disaster, because there are only so many tricks you have in your bag as myself. And I don't want to become a parody of myself. That's not the idea. The idea is to keep stretching yourself and trying to do things that you haven't done before in ways that you haven't done before. So yeah, I would like to approach everything first as an actor. And if stardom happens, that is a welcome byproduct.
That's great.
Bonus. See, because when you start your career, you're not, at least I can talk about myself, that you say, काम मिल जाए यार, कोई role दे दे यार, कुछ काम दे दे यार, And you're so grateful to the filmmaker and director, at least he's giving me work. Then you do the character, and the characters become very popular. If actors feel that they have become very popular, then they're delusional. That is one of the reasons, I think, which is very important for youngsters to understand, that ultimately it's the characters, it's the writers, the team, what do they see on screen. That's make them what they are. And I think that's what I've done. I think that must be one of the reasons of my longevity.
More power to you, sir. Hope to see you for a couple more decades, at least, on screen. I've been told that we are running out of time, and they have a surprise for all of you since you're here. So I'm going to ask Aditya to take over.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
taking over.
I think.
Am I sermonizing? What am I doing?
You're going to spring the surprise. Apparently,
Okay.
that's what.
Oh
I've been
yes,
told.
we have a little clip we'd like to show you.
Wow. We can have another round of applause for our team Night Manager, a legend on stage, some of the brightest talent from our country. Thank you for being with us, for all of you, for the knowledge of all of you. We have another surprise for you. And how many of you all know that there was an international star who was going to join us on the first day but then got stuck? Do you all know his name? I forget his name. Burak Deniz. Thank you for helping me. So, Burak, you know, there is a saying in India, Atiti Deva Bhava. And you've come at a very opportune moment where we have a legend like Mr. Anil Kapoor, who's been in our business for over 4 decades. He's done some of the best work. And he's here going to welcome you with open arms into this country on a platform like Ficci Frames. Anil sir, thank you for a fantastic session. And please, I'm going to request Aditya and Shobita and Sandeep and Samdesh to give a big, big welcome to Deniz on stage. Anil sir, while you are doing the photo op, we have one more thing to learn from you. Please don't, you have to announce the date of the show before you go away.
Friends, ladies and gentlemen, the part 2 of Night Manager is going to be out on the 30th of June. On Disney Plus Hotstar.